Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be taking a look through my vintage book pickups for the month of March 2023. So it's been a pretty decent month, all things considered. I've had that great haul from Dorset Bob, the SF book specialist. I've had a great viewer donation and some other bits and pieces that have come my way during March. So that's exactly what we're going to be having a look at today. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so we'll start off with this rather lovely digit book, which is fantastic. The Change, George Foster, brilliant sort of nuclear Holocaust cover on this one. And all I'm going to be doing initially is going through each book, seeing if there's any pencil marks to get rid of. Then we'll go through again and we'll give them all a brush. And finally, a bit of a polish. So some of these are going to be bagged up. This is how they're in Bob's stock. So when I get bagged books, I do generally, at the moment, I'm not keeping all my books bagged up. The jury's still out slightly on that one with me. I understand the attraction of having books in bags, and it certainly does protect them, but it's not like mine are going to get a lot of handling. So, you know, apart from a little bit of just atmosphere dust, I don't think they're getting too bad once I've gone through and cleaned them properly. And this one's absolutely great. It's a really early Ballantine, which is a publisher I do like to collect, Ballantine books in the States. They are all numbered. By all means, these early numbered ones are not all science fiction in my collection, but obviously Bob has got quite a few SF ones up there, and that's what I've picked up right here and now. The first one there's got a little tip next to it. You sometimes see that with anthologies, but it's in pen, so I can't do anything about that. But quite a nice early one. I mean, that is actually pretty early. Yeah, it just says it's an original. Copyright 1953. That would be about right. 53, 54 for that one. So yeah, that's probably about right. These aren't in any order, so the publishers are all over the place, so they're going to be a bit of a mixture. This is a really nice penguin. So I realised after my second visit to, after my first visit, that a lot of Bob's penguin science fiction was actually much better than, condition-wise, than the stuff that I've already got. So some of the penguin SF that you're going to see today, I do already own, but just not in this great sort of condition with the nice perfect spines and that. So I took the opportunity while I was there to go ahead and upgrade a few of my penguin ones as well. Quite a few badger books to look at today, which is good news. So I updated my list before we went, so I knew I wasn't going to be doubling up. And although this isn't actually a badger book, it's a Vega book, 60 cents. This is an American badger book, and I picked up two of these. So it's got the same cover as the British one, and I think the other one's actually been signed by Lionel Fanthorpe. But yeah, evidently for a short while at least, badger books had a US arm, and I guess they're very, very scarce, particularly in the UK. First time I'd ever come across them. I picked up a few volumes of this, the New Worlds anthology. I believe this one here, number 10, is the last one. Really quite funky, and I picked up the first 4 last year in that great 70s SF haul, and I think I'm now only needing just the one to finish the set off. But that one's that's a little beauty. Here's another penguin, once again a bit dusty, so these will benefit from having a polish, but look at that lovely spine on it. Absolutely perfect. This is the way to have these books if you're going to have them at all. Have them in as tip-top shape as possible. This one's absolutely perfect, isn't it? Lovely stuff. Another digit, Terror in the Modern Vein. It's got a 4p on the front there. Donald A. Wilhelm. So this one's a little bit more VG. This is probably why it's not in Bob's personal collection, because Bob himself is, I wouldn't say he's a perfectionist, but he only likes books that are in absolute tip-top shape. So with this one, there's actually a little bit of The spine's just coming away just a little bit, so I'm going to just pop a little slither of glue in there just to give this a slight restoration. But yeah, one of the things that makes Bob's collection so fantastic is because, like I guess all collectors, you know, we're all limited with what space we've got available, and Bob wants to make the most of the space that he's got, so he just sticks to keeping absolutely pristine stuff. So if you've not seen my video on my second trip to Bob's, where I was able to film his paperback and pulp collection, then do go and check that video out, because it's pretty darn good. And Bob's collection is absolutely amazing. And my friend Steve, the Outlaw bookseller, is going to be going up and filming Bob's science fiction hardback collection, which once again is really quite something, and you're going to love watching that, because Bob's collection is great. And he's a very knowledgeable collector as well. He's been around, well, like you said, he's been collecting 50 years. So in that time, he's been right around the world, and he knows all the sort of key sort of collectors and dealers, and he's interacted with them all over the years. So he's got some great stories to tell, as you would imagine. Here's another nice digit, quite a late one here, 863. I think the numbering went up to about 912, something like that. So very near the end of the digit run. The World Bay. I do like digit. Oh, here's another badger, and this is the other American one, and this one does say signed on it, so we shall take a closer inspection. The return. So Pel Toro. Pel Toro was one of Lionel Fanthorpe's pseudonyms, and there we are. There's his signature. Quite a familiar signature if you've seen it before. It doesn't vary at all. I've got maybe a dozen books signed by Fanthorpe now. Now this one I've already got. It's a New English Library title, or Foursquare, that just before they merged into New English Library. So it's just say Foursquare there on the back, New English Library, and the numbering is the original Foursquare numbering. But this is a black and white British reprint of the original Hulk comics. I think it reprints Hulk number 1 and 2. I've already got this one, but mine, like a lot of these, they tend to turn up quite damaged and, you know, well read, shall we say, and thumbed. So I'm certain that mine is nowhere near as good a condition as this one. So I picked this one up as an upgrade, and even if and even with my double, I've actually got a friend of mine who'll definitely appreciate that one, my spare copy. Now, once again, I availed myself of a few more of Bob's Badger file copies, and he had a lot of the romance ones, which he doesn't collect himself, and he collects the supernatural and science fiction. But I like these romance ones. You never ever see them around, and these were as a direct from the publisher themselves, so they're just worth picking up while they're cheap and cheerful. This was a nice one as well, another nice badger. And I didn't have Uranium 235. This is science fiction number 67. I've managed to get quite a run of badger together nowadays, not least of which thanks to all the ones I've been getting from Bob. That one's definitely going to appreciate having a polish on, that's for certain. Next is a pan. So I picked up plenty of pans from Bob. Once again, Bob does collect pan himself, but he only wants them in absolutely pristine condition. And this one's very tight in the bag. Let's see if I can just split the bag open. Yeah, if there's anything wrong with it at all, it generally gets rejected, which is why the pans that are in Bob's collection are in absolutely tip-top, sort of superb condition. So even Bob's rejects are basically, in a lot of cases, better than my main series ones. But I didn't really buy any to upgrade that I can remember. I did just buy ones which are literally missing from the collection completely. So like that one, I haven't got that at all in any format. So that's why I've picked that one up to add to my pan collection. And there's a little bit of pencil on the inside cover there. There's in a really, really awkward spot, right on the corner here. So I need to be pretty careful with this. Yeah, it is pencil. Oh, that's stubborn pencil. It's coming off. So yeah, you could say March has been pretty good, although the majority of it has come from the one source, but that doesn't matter. When you got so much from one source, you don't tend to go looking anywhere else, do you? Because you just don't need to. Well, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get that, to be honest. That's a really difficult spot. That 1 and 9 on the front cover, I don't think we're going to be able to do much about that, but I just... Oh, it's maybe coming off. Yeah, I've been very, very light with this. It looks like it must have been popped on with a China pen, you know, this sort of thing, designed to write on glass. Yeah, so that has initially come off, but I don't want to put my dirty rubber back on it, so I'm just rubbing it on the cardboard here to get a nice fresh bit of rubber again. There we are. So the end is clean again. Now I can go back on and give it another few swipes. Well, that's actually much better than it looked, wasn't it? So we haven't done too badly there. Obviously, once these have been brushed, the edges have been brushed, I will then go back and give them all a polish, and we might see that very faint 1 and 9 actually lift off a little bit more. But that's not bad, that one. This was the series where they had a set of handcuffs on the front, and these were all American writers, and there would be a little vignette just inside the circle of the handcuff there. Right, this one looked great actually. Donald Mackenzie, a great jacket by Oval. So we'll have a look at this one. Really, as far as I could say, really, really nice sharp copy. Girl there at the roulette table. Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, very, very nice indeed. Perfect. Next, another one of those great badgers, Romance number 7. They also serve and Bob was telling me that that's perfect, isn't it? That he basically just had a call out of the blue to say the chap who was the Badger publisher had basically passed away, and the books just needed to be collected pretty much that afternoon. So we had to go down and clear the place out. And there's a lot of horrible books in there, and there was lots and lots of file copies. So I think he did all right there. This is great to get. This is the Stainless Steel Rat's Revenge. Now I do have the American of the Stainless Steel Rat, and I believe this is the second Stainless Steel Rat story. Berkeley Medallion 1973. I'll have to check. But it says first time in paperback, so I'm assuming it's the correct paperback first of that one. So that's all right. Another pant, which I actually thought I had this one, but on reflection, I think the one I was thinking of was one very similar called The Jazz Story. Which is a pan of a similar age, not this one, which is Mr. Jelly Rolls. So that is where my confusion came in. Little 50p inside there. So we get that out. Yeah, so apart from visiting Bob, I have had quite a bit on, so I was able to get a short breakaway in London with my wife, and we did visit the London Transport Museum. We did a little trip of hidden London, which was fantastic. Got to see Euston Station as it was in 1960 before it was sealed off. Had all these fantastic old movie posters still on the wall, which was amazing to see. So that was good. And then we went to did a bit of touristy stuff. We went to Harrods and we went to the Sky Garden, and we finished off the little mini break with a trip to the Museum of Brands, which if you've not seen that video, I highly recommend that. If you've got any sort of interest at all in old packaging, I think you'll absolutely love that one. I'm very pleased to get this. I've been meaning to read this for a long time, and I got the second volume of it as well, so good stuff. So that was fantastic. Have a little mini breakaway. Oh, this one wasn't actually from Bob's. This is a rare Muth and Sixpenny. So there's 20 in the series that I've been able to ascertain. I've made my own bibliography, and I counted, including this one, I've only got 9. So I'm still not quite at halfway. But I believe out of all the original Muth and Sixpennies, this is probably the most collectible, because it's just P.G. Wodehouse, and he is a supremely collectible author. There we are. Sax Roma would be quite nice, wouldn't it? I haven't got that one, I don't think. So anyway, this came off eBay. It's very fragile, or brittle, I should say. So I'm going to carefully, yeah, look at that. I've turned the corner over, and the corners have literally just crumbled in my hands. So thankfully, there's not a lot wrong with this one except its brittleness. So if this was a comic book, a lot of comic book dealers would say, well, it's not worth anything because it's so brittle. But for me, I've been collecting Muth and Sixpennies for on and off, and I've had a saved search for Muth and Sixpennies online for maybe 10 years, and this is the only copy of this P.G. Wodehouse I've ever seen come up for sale. So I would say it's particularly scarce. 1939. But as I said, it's supremely brittle, so I have to be very careful with that one. Amazingly, it did come with the remnants of its wrapper. Not the full flap, it's missing the front flap there, but at least it's got most of it there. So what I'll do, I'm going to keep the wrapper separate, and then that will be fine to have the top edges brushed off in a minute, and then I'll put the wrapper back on. Another slightly later pan here. It was a movie, this one, Upstairs and Downstairs. Not one I can say I've ever seen. I do still intend doing a video on pan movie tie-ins, of which they did loads actually, but I think some of them are better than others, and I haven't got them all, of course, but I have got an awful lot of pan ones. Just a little price sticker, price mark out of that. Here's another volume of the New Worlds anthology. Number 8. Hilary Bailey was doing the editing. What a great jacket on these, aren't they? I'm really glad. As I said, I think I just need one volume, which I'm going to finish off, and then I shall dig in and read them all and report back of which ones I thought were the best. Here's number 6, edited by Michael Moorcock and Charles Platt. And there is something about an SF anthology where you can just dip in and out and read the odd short story. It's just brilliant. I love them. I was able to get a few more compact SF from Bob, and he was able to pull a few out for me before I went up to save me a bit of time looking through it all. This one's very well sellotaped down, so well I can barely get into it. There we are. But it has kept the book nice and clean, and you don't see compact books around very often, and it's a publisher. I think the books look lovely for starters. 1966, They do feel really good, and they're just not around really in really nice nick. And Bob's were exceptional, so I'm pleased to get these. I mean, there are some online, and they very much vary in price, but I prefer to get it from a dealer that I know. This was great. Now, once again, I'm pretty sure I've got this one, and I've even got it in the Valentine book edition. But this is actually a double, but mine is far worse than this, as I recall. This is Valentine book number 97. It was a paperback original in America. And Arthur C. Clarke, I mean, he was one of the early science fiction authors that I sort of read when I was growing up. So for me, I've always liked him, even though I suppose you could say they're a little bit sort of clunky nowadays, but he's an author I still like. Here's another badger. The Dedicated, D.K. Jennings. These have all got nice fox covers, really nice art style. And there is no way I'll ever come across these books again. I mean, they were marketed to women and the women's market, and you just never ever see them. Before I saw Bob's haul, in all the years I've been collecting Badger, I'd only ever come across one of them, which I did pick up, and I couldn't believe it. So to get these, admittedly, publisher copies, is still just fantastic. It's an opportunity I just didn't want to miss. There we are. This one's actually got a 25p on, so it did the rounds, and it still ultimately didn't sell and got returned to the publisher. But I guess that was what brought on Badger's demise. Now this was really nice, and this has got me planning to dig out my Philip Jose Farmer books, because I do have them separate. He's one of those authors, a bit like J.G. Ballard or Philip K. Dick. Philip Jose Farmer, I've got like a separate pile that I'm working on, where I'm trying to get basically all their books. And I think for someone like Dick, I pretty much completed them now, but not all in the same. They're all in different editions. With Jose Farmer, I've made the decision that the ones that I really like, that I really like, are the American ones. And this is a later Ace one, which I definitely didn't have. Let's have a little look at the printing history. Copyright 1965. So good stuff. Obviously I have got some Jose Farmer in other publishing runs, like Panther, for example. But it's the American ones that I like the most, and for some reason, a bit like Harry Harrison, he's another one of those authors where, looking at the two editions, I prefer the American ones over the British ones. I'm not quite sure why. I was very pleased to get this. This is the original movie tie-in edition to 2001, when this one was published, 1968. And this is the one to tie into the movie. I've got The Lost Worlds of 2001, and I've got The Making of 2001, but I didn't have the actual movie tie-in edition of 2001. So that's finally been corrected here, and as you can see, it's a really nice nice movie tie-in cover on this one. Now I did notice when I bought this that it had the tiniest little sort of slither or something wrong at the top there. It is actually like a bit of the black covers come away. Not unusual with a book with a black cover. It sort of happens all the time, but I am actually really pleased with that one, much more than you might believe. So the next book was actually a viewer donation by my friend Paul Barnes. Now, historically, Paul, a few months back, gave me a few books from his own collection, which he bought at auction many years ago. I think he said it was about 20 years ago, which had come from John Wyndham's personal library. And he knows of my love of Wyndham, and he found another one. So this is the Science Fiction Book Club, and it's for John Wyndham's The Kraken Wakes, which is the one that came after Day of the Triffids. In my eyes, almost as good as Triffids. I really like it. It's published by the Science Fiction Book Club. And once again, this one has got Wyndham stamping. Look, John Benyon Harris. So it's come from Wyndham's own personal library. And there we are. So the Science Fiction Book Club. I think it's release number 13 is what the 13 means on this. Now I do have the true first of the Crack and Wakes, but my copy doesn't have an original dust wrapper. I'm going to pick up a facsimile from the States. But this was the original Science Fiction Book Club. Now, my friend Paul said he knows of my love of ephemera. Well, he included the postcard as well. And he says you'd be interested in Wyndham's biography here. So here we are. Yeah. With this, the first volume at our new lower price, we welcome many new members to the Science Fiction Book Club. And it says, if you enjoy Crack and Wakes, recommend the book club to all your friends. There we are. And it gives a little mini summary of the story. And then he said, have a little look at the mini potted biography of John Wyndham. In his own words, he was born in 1903 at Knoll, Warwickshire. Farming, this was the fashion of the day, but found that if you really work on a farm, you sleep over a book. Little talent, wrote some short stories, very bad stories, no takers. And then it says he's got his war service there, and then started writing again after the war, and then wrote Day of the Triffids, which was, of course, the big hit. Little choice, it says that one of the upcoming books is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury as well. So it's pretty cool, isn't it? And on the selection committee for the Science Fiction Book Club was actually Arthur C. Clarke. E.G. Carnell as well was on it. So there we are. I mean, I don't know a lot about the Science Fiction Book Club, but I have to say that was a very, very nice addition to my John Wyndham collection. So once again, Paul, thank you very much for that. It's a really, really nice item, that one. And, well, it's a beauty, so thanks. Okay, so here is another farmer book. It's a slightly later Ballantine, but it's an American one again. It's Ballantine 391. It's got a K next to it. Really sort of, it's that late 50s, early 60s design. Might be late 50s, this one. Let's have a little look here. 1960, so there we are. Yeah, right sort of on the cusp. But yeah, it's good stuff. As I said, he was really prolific, wasn't he, Philip Jose Farmer? So I need to get the full bibliography and go through and work out exactly what I've got and what I'm still missing. Another pan here. It's a slightly more grubbier one than Bob's usual standard, but I've picked it up because, as I said, it's just one I haven't got in any format at all. It's one of the Great Pan series that I'm after, and I am due a bit of a pan shunting session. I've had quite a bit fairly recently, you know, and I need to make a bit more room. Here's another one which I'm pretty sure I've got, but just not in this great sort of condition. So it's another American Jose Farmer. A couple of little marks there, but nothing too serious. It's nice. This one I knew I didn't have. It's the Sixth Doctor handbook. They did a handbook for all 6 Doctors. I don't think they did one for Sylvester McCoy. I don't think, and I had a couple of opportunities to buy them as a set, and I just lucked out. I wasn't in quick enough. So for a few pounds, I was pleased to get that. This is really nice. What a great cover this one is, Mandrake. Look at this. It's got that Wicker Man vibe to it, hasn't it? You know, to me anyway. Look at this all black cover. Look at the spine on it. Tiny bit of fading, but still pretty good. 2491. Look at this. What a great condition book that is. Quite unusual in that condition. And don't know much about that at all. that particular title. But yeah, there it is, clearly Penguin Science Fiction. Also, it's not laminated, it's got like a more matte cover on it, which I also thought was a bit unusual. New Worlds number 5, here we are, Michael Walker. Very, very funky cover. It looks a bit like the Time Machine almost, doesn't it, to me? A little 3 inside, which we shall rub out. Yeah, so I'm about, as I film this, a couple of days' time, I'm about to start my new training for my new job. So I've done videos, I've produced videos, but they're not, there's what I would, they've been quite easy to produce videos. They've not ones that have taken a lot of time to produce. I've done a little audio book, another George Orwell, Decline of the English Murder, little mini audio book. Just because I have had to go back to being full-time for the time being, just for a little while I'm training. But then I'll be back to having a bit more time to do videos. But I am now back filming proper videos now, rather than the short ones, which were a little bit, there was a little bit of what should we say, not padding, but I just didn't have time to do anything longer than what I've been producing lately. But that is now rectified, and I am right in the middle of doing lots of sorting out so that I can get access to some of the other bits in the collection. So this one has got a sticker on, which I'm going to attempt to just get off with my thumbnail initially, and hope that that just comes off quite easily. Looks like it's gonna. So yeah, I've got some great videos planned. By the time you see this one, I would have gone to the latest Matford Toy Fair. That's coming up in a week or so's time. And I've just had confirmation literally today as I film it that there will be a new London, well, not new, but the London Paperback show is back on this year, tied in with the Ephemera show. So at the moment, I am off that day from work. It's a Sunday and I don't do Sundays anymore. And luckily I'm off the day after as well, because it is in London, which for me is quite a hike. Now, the options I've got are to go up the day before and get to London nice and sharp for when it opens, because obviously I'm going to be filming it as a visit to the Paperback Fair. I mean, that it goes without question. So that's one option. I could, and I might have to, go up literally the day of the show, which would mean a very, very early start, a very tiring day. But as I said, I am off the day after as well, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if I had to have a very long Sunday. I'm also going to see if anybody else wants to come with me. Some of my local friends, possibly Steve might be up for it if he's not already planning on something at that time, and potentially Bob might go along as well. So there's a few options there. That is all right. It's got the sticker off. There is a little bit of tape residue which I want to tackle now before I give the book its normal polish. I'm just going to leave that on there for a sec. So yeah, so quite exciting news. So I'm going to contact the organizer. I'm going to say, look, do you want me to give it, plenty of publicity on my channel, which I'm more than happy to do. And then it would be pretty cool if we could meet, and anyone who watches this channel, if they want to meet up and have a chat and maybe be in the video of me filming that show, that would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? It would be fantastic to meet up with some of the viewers. So yes, watch this space, but I shall let you know once I got a few more details. Okay, the one-eyed monster, Alan Pryor. See, this is in like a really old bag, a really like thin bag. They're the ones I really don't like. Some of the ones Bob's had in are like, they're almost like comic book mylights, and those bags are actually really nice. So, as I said, the jury's still slightly out on these. That's not too bad. Another Penguin science fiction. This is a Harry Harrison. This is part of my science fiction collection. Yeah, such a shame Harry Harrison is no longer with us. He was one author I would have really liked to have met, to be honest. Really, really would have. That's lovely. Like all Bob's penguins, they've been in great shape. This is another great pan that I was missing. Second victory. This is the second printing from '63, but it might be the first with that jacket, so I'll have to double check. I said I don't mind picking up later editions with Pan if they've got different covers. We are of the school where we do judge a book by its cover. Sometimes. Another one of those Badger file copies. Number 38, quite a late one for the romance series. Yeah, very nice, very nice. There's another one, Bill the Galactic Hero. 297, very, very dusty. It's going to appreciate a nice polish in a minute. Good stuff. Now, I don't know if you remember, a lot of people seem to enjoy when I filmed my friend George's vintage Doctor Who collection, and George has been pulling all his 70s Doctor Who stuff together. So it'll be predominantly John Pertwee and Tom Baker memorabilia, and George has got an awful lot of it, as you would expect, so he's going to put a whole room of that out for us to film. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've now got a new date for filming some more Jerry Anderson trading cards with my friend Andy. We're going to do the third and final part of Jerry Anderson in vintage bubblegum card, which will be cool. Oh, here we are. Look at a funky cover for New Worlds number 9. Very, very nice. These are really easy to get online, but Bob had them all there. He had a couple of each one, so I grabbed the best sort of looking one for each. They really are great, aren't they? Bit of an unusual typeface on that one, but it's all right. 1975. Good stuff. You may have seen this one, used in publicity purposes. Another little drink. The copy I had in front of, that I was holding in front of Bob's collection was his personal one. This is one that I was really pleased to get. It's got a lovely Pef cover there. That was probably Kitty. That was his wife posing in that one. So this one's got a little bit of wear, but even so, it's a nice early Pef cover. So I'm not complaining one little bit. 1958, and it is Peter Cheney. So that's all cool. Slight change of pace here. So Bob, knowing of my love of Penguin, came across a small batch of 6 Penguin modern painters, and I've only got one of these at the moment, which is the one on Edward Baldwin, who is my one of my favourite artists. They do sort of vary a little bit in condition, so I wouldn't say these are all pristine by any means. From what I could see, they are all first editions though, because there are reprints of these which came in dust wrappers, and these do appear to be the firsts, but as I said, they do vary in condition, and this one's got a little bit of wear on the front cover here, which I'm gently trying to get off with my soft rubber. Now, one thing you will notice about these, and this is true with a lot of these sorts of books from Penguin, and some of their Puffin books are the same as this, is that they don't have a cover price, and that was a very deliberate thing, because Penguin realised that some of these would be sold in, say, art galleries, as opposed to bookshops, and they wanted the bookshops to be able to put their own price on. So often they don't come with an actual cover price. The price gets written on the inside. That one's actually plain. That one says nothing on that one. Matthew Smith. So they're really good. They're published during the war. They're not scarce at all. They're really not. And I was hoping, and you do sort of see these around as sets for about 40 quid for the lot. But these, were just a few pounds each, and I didn't have any of them, so I thought, why not get them from Bob? So there we are. It says, well, that one actually's got a date inside. It says 3/45, so that's probably March 1945, and it's actually got 2 and 6 in the corner. The 3/45 were probably being put on by the bookshop. In fact, they both would have been put on by the bookshop to say when they when it got to them as stock, because they would have been able to send it back if it had not sold at all. So that's basically what that does. Back in the day, most books had a sale or return agreement. Most bookshops had a sale or return agreement with the publisher, so they wouldn't be stuck with stuff that didn't sell, basically. So it would go back to the publisher and then get recycled. A similar sort of thing here. It says they don't always turn up in sets or anything like that, but you do often find them in little groups like this lot here was in a group all together, probably the original owner. And Penguin were quite keen on the art stuff, weren't they? But this sort of thing I've left to the very sort of tail end of my Penguin collecting adventures. It was never ever a priority, but it's the sort of stuff it's nice to fill in at this sort of stage of the game, really. It's okay, Henry Moore. The art series I've been actually trying to get some more of is the Fontana History of Art, the Pocket History of Art, but I haven't found any decent lots lately, so still looking for some of those. They came out in the 1950s. That's fine, there's no marks on that. And then this last one here, John Piper. When you think these were really lavish, considering when they were published just after the war, when there was a real shortage of paper. This one's actually got a few folded over corners, so we get them first of all. And it's got pencil mark inside. As I said, the reprints of these have got dust wrappers on, as paper got a bit more easier to find, and they're even more sort of upmarket. But these original ones, this is exactly how they were issued, just with paperback covers and no dust wrappers. This one was dated February 45. There we are. So that's slightly unusual, but it's the only sort of real vintage Penguin beyond the 60s stuff that I've picked up this month. Nothing's appeared on off my wants list, unfortunately. Right, back to some more paperbacks. Alexander Fullerton. Nice little pan. It's really, really tight in the bag though. There we are. Good stuff. When's this dated from? 1962. That one there, the yellow Ford. Now this is nice. This is Wallwoods of Mars. This is another compact SF. Let's get this one out of its bag. Deadly Menace. Jay Cawthorne was the cover artist. Not a lot there, is there? It's virtually typographical, like a lot of today's covers, which I always think is a massive cop-out if a science fiction book doesn't come out with a half-decent illustrated jacket. Just a cop-out on behalf of the publishers. There we are. Yeah, cool stuff. Here's that earlier Sprang Decant. This is the first one, a planet called Krishna. Nice, a little bit dusty that one, but he's okay. Here's another one, Arthur Sellings, Time Transfer. A little bit to be glued down there, the top of the spine. It's got Richard Booth's little flyer inside. Seen a few of them. That's lovely, but I will give that top a tiny bit of glue because it's the tiniest of tiny nicks and it could easily get worse without a little bit of treatment. So there we are, tiny bit of glue. Yeah, so we got hopefully got a new Doctor Who video coming up quite soon. We got the Andy's back on with doing some trading card videos as well, which is good news. And the potential of a London paperback fair, so some good stuff on the horizon. And I will be joining my friend Steve on a return visit to Bob's in Dorset when Steve films Bob's amazing hardback science fiction collection, so look out for that one as well, probably in a month or so's time. We're just fixing up a date quite soon. Really pleased to get this one. So this was another comic book adaptation. This is Marvel Illustrated books, and this is for the first Conan movie, Conan the Barbarian. This is the Schwarzenegger one, and if any of you have watched my channel, you'll know that I really love comic book related paperbacks, and because I remember just loving them as a kid. And this is a real, I wasn't even sure this existed. There are some other Conan ones in colour, and it reprints the Barry Windsor Smith run from the early 1970s, from like 1970, in 6 volumes. But that one is something a bit different from 1980, and it's, as I said, the first movie. This is nice, Frederick Poole, A Town is Drowning, very, very nice, fairly early digit. So I was pleased to get this one. Let's see how easy it is to get out the bag. So this style of bag hasn't aged, and it's almost like a Mylite. It's much, much better quality than the other ones. And if I was going to bag any books, those would be the ones I would bag, you know. So yeah, this is Digit 365, A Town is Drowning. Pretty certain I've not got this one in my Digit collection. So that's cool. This is another very nice compact SF. Judith Merrill, Shadow on the Hearth. Look at this, a nice black cover. It's in lovely condition. Very, very nice, this one. A little bit of page edge tanning, but don't see them in that nick very often. 1966, look at that. Great photograph cover as well. Back to another early Ballantine. Robert Sheckley. This is one I've never even seen before, so I was really, really pleased to get this one. So this is Ballantine 126, Citizens in Space, yeah, it's an anthology. It says 12 stories in it. There we are. 1955. It's got $5.50 by the look of it, which may have been the American dealer's price at one point. Yeah, it's going to appreciate. There's a little bit of like muck and stuff on the front, so this will definitely appreciate from having a decent polish. It's very nice. And another one in the Ballantine range, and it's another Arthur C. Clarke, number 52, which once again I'm pretty certain I've not got. And if I have got it, I'm sure I haven't, but if I have, it wouldn't be in this lovely condition. This is lovely. Ballantine number 52. What a jacket that is, isn't it? Look at that. That's corking, isn't it? There is something about those early Ballantine SFs that I really like. In fact, all the Ballantine books, as a paperback publisher, I think they're just great. They've got really great design. The titles are great. I'd love to get them all, even the non-science fiction ones, although they did do a lot of science fiction. But even the non-sci-fi ones are great, so worth a look. Now, this was another one from Compact, and it's a Michael Moorcock one I've never ever read. Fire Clown. I know he was super prolific at this point. Now, it has got a score along the back, unfortunately, but apart from that, it's a pretty nice copy of that one. And I'm not fussed about that at all, because that's going to look lovely on the shelf, isn't it? So very, very pleased with that one. It's definitely not one I've got. And yet another one here, another Moorcock. So doing well on that front. The Sundered Worlds. And this one's got, it would have had it looks like it's had a sticker gone over it, like maybe, I don't know, 75p or something. I'm not sure, because it looks in quite an old state. That I don't know if we're going to have much joy getting that off, because it should look like that at 3 and 6. It should be very, very similar. So I'm a bit reluctant, because you know it's a Michael Moorcock paperback original, and we don't want to damage it, you know. But at the same time, that is quite a detractor, isn't it? It does look like a normal. It looks like it's had a sticker next to it there, and then this one's gone over it. I wonder if I could get that off. Let's give it a go. The thing is with these compact books, generally speaking, they actually have got really glossy covers, which should make this sticker slide off. And it does look like it's coming. So far, so good. Okay, well, it is coming. So I've been doing quite a bit of sorting and cleaning over on my other channel. So if you've not checked out my dedicated book cleaning channel, if you enjoy these sorts of videos, you may well enjoy the content over there, where I methodically sort of go through my entire book collection, and I'm estimating that I'm maybe halfway now, and that's taken 1.5 years, just a video a week. There we are, look at that. So it's actually come out all right, hasn't it? So obviously we'll leave that for a minute, but when we go round to it, we'll need to give that a really good polish, and I think that's going to come up lovely. So yeah, so on the other channel I've been doing quite a bit of normal cleaning, and I've been doing some large format books, and I've recently done most of my Doctor Who Target books in 2 videos as well, so that might be worth a little look if you're interested in those. Another nice compact Charles harness, very nice. It's absolutely perfect, that one, lovely. There's another Ballantine, number 91. I did have a bit of an eye for these. Once I started picking up a few, I thought, oh, I've got to get some more of these. Absolutely fantastic. Definitely a series that's on my radar, even the non-SF ones, although I did have a little look online. There's one that they published on James Dean that's really expensive. That's in the first 100, I think. Classic book on James Dean. There we are. Secret Enemy. This is a spy, a badger spy. And that's because it's got the SP. And these, I believe, were published on the back of the spy boom of sort of Man from U.N.C.L.E., James Bond, Danger Man, that sort of thing, you know. Now, I was really pleased to get this one at long last. So, back in the day when I had my shop, I sold my copies of Hitchhiker and Return, Restaurant at the End of the Universe. They were the Pan First editions, and they'd both been signed by Douglas Adams. I let them go for £25 each. Sorry, for the pair, which was way too cheap. But at the time, you know, they didn't sell straight away or anything. It took a while to sell. Now, my friend Tim, who runs the Pan Collectors website, he pointed out that there are actually 2 versions of the first printing, and it took him ages to find the correct first printing, and he does show them on his website, and thankfully my first printing is the correct one. And the thing you're looking for is that start of chapter 7, page 53. You've got the very worst poetry of all perished along with its creator, Paul Neil Milne Johnston. Now that's the original name. That's what you are looking for in a true first edition. And inside it should have, that's it, just the first, published in 1979. Even though there's another first edition, there is one which has got a different name inside. It's changed to Pauline rather than Paul, and it's a different name entirely. It's the start of chapter 7. That is actually the second printing, and all subsequent printings have got Pauline's name rather than Paul. So what the reason was behind that, I don't know. Maybe the guy actually existed, and maybe complained about it. But just so you know, that is the true first edition of Hitchhiker's Guide. So I was very pleased to get that as part of my Pan science fiction, if you can call it science fiction. I suppose it is really, isn't it? This one was great, and I don't ever remember coming across this one before. Oldest Birdies. Who? Another quite interesting cover, this one. Yes, I don't think I know this one at all. So pleased to see that. There's the Wyndham, which I'm sure I haven't got the American edition of this one. This was a later Fawcett gold medal. And these were, December 72, this one got published. So this is the very last hurrah for gold medal, was around that sort of period, the early 70s. I think they may have gone as far as about 74, 75, and then they were done. It's a very late gold medal, but it's absolutely mint. Lovely black spine on it. It's, once again, it's a Wyndham that I've not got, so I wasn't going to leave that behind. Last of the paperbacks now. So I asked Bob to put this one by after I saw it on my last video, in actual fact. So this was Memory Seed by Stephen Palmer. I read this one, I think I got given a proof of it before it was published, and I remember it being really good. 96. It's sort of like an eco science fiction book, and yeah, I remember it being really excellent. So I wanted to get that one back, and thankfully it was still there. That's the second part of Mike Ashley's History of the Science Fiction magazine, 1936 to 1945. I believe there's, I think, 4 volumes of it. So I shall look out for those. But at least I've got the first 2 now to have a read of. Another Penguin book by John Christopher, author of the Tripods trilogy, World is Winter. Not classed as science fiction, but definitely an SF author. 1964. Once again, a lovely, beautiful condition Penguin first that I haven't got. The last of the New Worlds anthologies for today, which is number 7. Grab It, The Sun. Slightly faded spine, but not too bad. Not too bad. (1974). And the last paperback we got is this is a British import of an American Twilight Zone book, and I've got a few Twilight Zone books. I've maybe got 4 or 5. I haven't got this one. I'm not really sure how many were actually produced, but there we are. That's a faded spine. That spine should have been the same, like, bronze cover as that, but it doesn't look too bad. And the condition is really nice. These are, once again, anthologies. They're like stories with a twist. So good stuff. When was this? 1965. New stories from the Twilight Zone. Definitely one that I've not got, at least not in that jacket anyway. So that's it on the paperback front. Now, I was sent a book by Stephen Jones, his new title, which is this one here, Kong, an original screenplay by about Edgar Wallace. So Edgar Wallace wrote the original Kong screenplay, which eventually got reworked, and there wasn't a lot of Edgar Wallace's original stuff in there, but it became the Universal King Kong movie. And this is an absolutely gorgeous book, which I'm going to do a dedicated review of once I've finished reading it. There it is. So just a quick flick through now to let you know that it's now been published. It's in print. As you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous. Lots of illustrations. I've got the full original script and the history behind it. I think you're going to really love having a look at this one. So yeah, it's good stuff. It's right up my alley, this one. So as I said, literally only just been published in the last sort of week or so, and look for a dedicated review on that one on the channel quite soon, as soon as I've finished reading it. I also picked this one up off Bob. He's given it to me as part of my sort of pan-related memorabilia and old bookshop catalogue stuff, and it's part of that collection. And it's just a little, it's literally a 2-page flyer for pan science fiction. It's got, the only bit really of interest is this one, which has got the Richard Cooper Profundis front jacket, and just letting you know that it's just been published. It does mention Pan Science Fiction List prides itself on its wide range of titles, from the unique Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy to the magnificent large format visual encyclopedia of science fiction, which I've had a look at because I don't actually own the visual encyclopedia of science fiction, and although it's good, it's not that visual by today's standards. So it may be yeah, it's only about £8 to pick up online. I might get one just for the actual content rather than what they're touting it as, but that was quite nice. It's just a little bit of related memorabilia there from Bob. Now, I did mention these in my Bob visit video, but I actually forgot to show them at the end, so I wanted to show you them now. So Bob himself bought out basically the publisher of Interzone, and one of the spin-off magazines that Interzone did was this one called Million, and this one isn't just science fiction, it's more on popular fiction, science fiction. There's a bit of genre fiction in here as well. You'll recognise the writers as being very familiar. So David Pringle, Kim Newman, Mike Ashley, Clive Boom, all these people, Brian Stableford, you'll recognise these as names that are very familiar to you. And it's basically everything that was, this is just number 1 here, so it's got features on Dick Francis, Colin Dexter, Inspector Morse, James Elroy, a Conan Doyle one there, Sue Grafton, Dennis Wheatley. There's good stuff in here. There really is, and nice bibliographies of authors up to that point, as you can see, like top tens. I think it's actually quite valuable, this one, as a historical document. Now, I haven't by any means been through them all, but I have been through quite a few. So this was January 1991, and you got, not sure if this is the whole lot, but that was number 3. There's number 4, number 6, 7. So Bob says he has multiple copies of virtually all the Interzones and this one as well, and they're not expensive. So just drop Bob an email. I'll make sure I pop his email on the screen now, and I'll pop it in the description down below. If you fancy any of these, they're dirt cheap, and I'm sure he'll do you a deal if you buy a few. But as I said, this is quite an interesting one. I don't know how long it lasted. Here's number 14 here, June 1993. And yeah, it's really good. So, you know, from what I can see, there's definitely a lot of crime in here. Lots of dealers. Look at this, like the Dragon Bee Press, for example. Who remembers them? And apparently they are still around. So might be worth contacting Bob. And if you do fancy some copies of Million, do drop him a line. Okay, so that's everything sort of unboxed and cleaned as best as we can, internally, that is. Now we're gonna I want to give all the top edges a brush off with my brush, and then I'm going to polish the bits and pieces that need polishing. Right, so I need to do these by side, really. So these are all the same size, so they're fairly easy to do. Yeah, they're fine. Now with this one, I don't want to rub the wrapper at all, so I'm going to gently take the dust wrapper off, like so. Gives us another chance to have a look at that cool sort of 50s design there. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of dust on that at all, really. It's come from another collector, and they obviously look after their books, as us collectors do, don't we? Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, really nice, that, from Wyndham's very own library. How cool is that? I think that might be a candidate, actually, to pop into a protective sort of sleeve, that one, because there's a little closed tear in that there. It might give it a little added level of protection. So I think I might do that in a forthcoming video. I'll do that as one of the ones to do. Right, so now we're on to just some more standard A format stuff, and you can generally get away with, depending on the size, 3 or 4 in a polishing sesh. So these are quite thick, so I'm just going to do the 3. And like all these books, some will need more of a polish than others. But that's sort of standard. Lovely. is the messiest part of the whole proceedings. That's the first stack done. Okay, then cracking on with pile number 2. And in that last break, I've gone and walked my daughter's dog. Got a little puppy, so giving that one a walk. It's only 12 weeks, so it can only just go and do like a little half hour, and I've stopped and had lunch as well. So I've had my little commercial break. These videos, the pickup videos, do tend to go on quite a bit, so I usually film them in a couple of batches, but we've not got a lot to go. We've just got the get the rest of them brushed, and then we're going to selectively polish some of the jackets that can be polished, which won't be all of them, but it will be the majority of them this time round. But the part of the process that you don't generally see is once these are all done, I then put them all into stacks by publisher, and I enter them all onto my sort of master spreadsheet. So I use Google Drive because I can access it very, very easily on my phone. So if I'm out and about, I can just look into my books folder, look at the publisher, and literally if I've got it, it will be listed. If it's a book that I've got that needs upgrading, it's usually got a little UG next to it to say upgrade. So generally speaking, more often than not, I pretty much know exactly what I've got and what, if I'm out and about, and if I need to pick it up, because you don't want to be doubling up on books that you've already got if you can help it. Although I know if I do, I've always got my swaps box. Always the top edges are the worst. That's cool. So that's like the second pile done for now. Let's pull this last bit out. One was much darker page edge colour than the other two. Sometimes it's worth giving them that extra little bit of buffing. Do this one on its own. Yeah, quite fragile that one, but scarce old book. Last three here. Lovely. Right. So that's everything brushed off as best we can. Now the final step of the process is to go through and start giving some of these a polish. So what I do, I've got my very soft duster there. I'm going to put that pile over there and we'll start working our way through. Not all of them, of course, will need polishing or can be polished, but this time around the majority do. So I use Mr. Sheen, and I just spray one corner initially to start getting it damp. Like so, and then we'll be good to go. So the the Penguin Modern Painters and obviously that hardback are not going to be anywhere near this polish, but stuff like this sort of mid-50s pan is going to be absolutely fine. And in some cases we'll get quite a bit off, in other cases it will hardly be noticeable, but in all cases at least we know they've been through the full process. Like this penguin here was absolutely gorgeous condition. If anything, all it had was a bit of like storage dust and stuff like that, you know. But occasionally you'll just see like an odd mark here or there, or you'll feel it under the duster. You'll just sort of feel like a little divot or a mark or something like that, which warrants it having a little once over here. But if it's a matte cover, then ideally you don't want to be doing this. And most paperbacks pre 1950 sort of fall into that bracket, really. It's only later on when they start getting a bit better, glossy covers, that sort of thing, then you can have a go at this. But I think it just gives them that final little bit of a tidy up. And in a lot of cases you can't actually see what it's taking up, but it's just when you step back and you realise. So I've just done basically four books there that weren't in a right state, but look at the dirt that's come off there. Now, as I said, some will be much more in need of it than others, so the main thing is that you don't like soak it on. You just do enough to clean it. Quite often you see like a little bit of nicotine on the side, where historically it's been in the room with someone who's smoked, or in the older books it could be someone who, you know, they were just on the shelf where they had an open fire, you know, like a coal fire. It wasn't that they weren't smokers at all, but we forget how common it was back in the day, whereas it's not so common nowadays, of course. I think you'd probably say smoking is in the minority nowadays. Yeah, when a lot of these books were published, everyone smoked, I guess. Now this is one that was particularly dusty. I'm going to give it a fresh squirt. You can even see the little, hopefully you can see the little patches of dirt on this, so I give it a clean, it should come up gleaming. There we are, so that the bottom half has been done, the top half hasn't, so do the top half now. There we are, gorgeous. But that was one dusty book, that, I tell you. And now it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, that is perfection. They really did sort of hit it out of the park, didn't they? I think, look at the dirt that's come off that. It's just in that small pile of books. So a lot of it from that one, mind you. So let's move on round. So we've got to clean a bit of cloth here, because we've got quite a bit to get through. old romance book. Just sort of looking in the light there, just to sort of see if there are any other little marks that I may have missed. Seems like it's got something nice to the end here. That's okay. That was really nice, that Philip Jose Farmer. And I shall definitely be compiling my list of farmers in the next week or so to make sure to get a list of what I actually got put out. That'll be the first job, and then to compare against what I've actually managed to pick up, because I've got a nice old batch, but he was so prolific. I don't even know if I've got a quarter of his output yet, but I have got a fair bit, you know, so I've definitely got the grounds of a starter collection. That's lovely. That's how we'd like them all, ideally. Yeah, this was another one that was a little bit dusty. Yeah, that's a beauty. Very, very nice. Lovely puff jacket. There we are. Let's get another bit of Mr. Sheen on there. There we are. Now this one here has got that slight weird matte cover on it, so I'm not going to give that one a polish. I'm just going to leave that exactly as it is, because I'm a bit worried it might make it worse, and that would defeat the object, wouldn't it? And it's absolutely fine. So what I will do though, rather than give it a polish, now I think about it, I shall get a dry bit of cloth and just dust it down a little bit. So this bit's not being used at all. This is a brown, clean cloth. There we are. There might have just been a little bit of dust on it. So there we go. That's the first pile done. That's cool. Let's get this lot out. Find my bit of reasonably clean rag here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving this one a read, actually. I don't know a great deal about the early years of pulp magazines. Historically, I picked up what were probably the most common of the British pulp magazines back in the 90s, and it was a massive collection. It was the guy's lifetime collection, and there was probably 500 in there, maybe something like that. And but it was, I don't think it was anything mega valuable by any means. It was the stuff that was fairly common, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed looking through it, but I just didn't have the room to keep it, so I sold them on. I broke stuff like, I don't know, astounding stories and fantastic fiction and things like this. I just broke it down by year and knocked it out because I just didn't have the room for it. But nowadays I've got a newfound appreciation for them, but I still don't think I would actively want to collect them. The only ones I'm sort of half tempted by are the new worlds, which are in paperback form, which they were for a while. I'd quite like to get those, and the authors that are in them I generally like, so I think they'd be quite fun to collect. And they're not difficult to find. There's loads of them around because I think they had high print runs. Right, obviously I'm not going to put the PG Woodhouse in. I will once again though give it just a wipe over with my duster. And this will be a prime candidate to just have on the shelf out of its wrapper, which is probably how I'll keep it. And I'll put this loose dust wrapper in with my bag of dust wrappers, which you may have seen in a fairly recent video where I had all my old dust wrappers out. So that's probably where that one's going to end up. And we got another copy of New Worlds. Right, and looking at the time there, I'm going to have to stop this little bit of recording at this end of this book and restart, because I record these in like 20-minute wedges, and I need to reset, so that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, time for another fresh bit of cloth. Soaking in like so. Although this was a great condition copy, it was interesting how much dirt I've just got off that in one foul swoop. This one looked really nice. Another little badger here. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but there's a tiny little line there where that was in a stack of books and it's just poked out and caught the slightest bit of sun. That's how those sort of lines form, you know. Very, very easily. The sun is the enemy of the paperback collector. Because it fades our books and ages them, and we don't like that. That is not what we want. Generally all right, that one. Pretty nice condition. Yeah, that's good. So just a little bit of shelf wear. So if you get a chance to read this one, it's actually really good. There we are. Shuffle those along in the little conveyor belt. Get another new bit of cloth here. Very nice. Nice picture on the back, that actually. Yeah, that's cool. The only thing that's missing from being movie tie-in perfection is a little photo insert in the inside. Then it would be literally movie tie-in perfection. And we've seen a few of those on the channel lately, and I am tempted to pull another 10 out, but I think I might, as I said, specialise and pull like some pan ones out, like pan movie tie-ins, and there's probably, yeah, some Penguin ones I could pull out as well. Not many, but some. Now, the camera is a little bit further out than I would like, so I'm just going to pause and pull it back a bit. There we are. I want to make sure you can actually see the polishing happening, if at all possible. And this is the one where we pulled the label off, so I'm giving it that extra bit of attention now, because there was a little bit of residue. Not a lot, but a bit. Yeah, I think that's about as good as we're going to get it. Very young Michael Moorcock there on the back. What a legend, eh? What a legend. He certainly shaped science fiction and fantasy from the mid-1960s onwards, didn't he? I mean, he really, really did. So influential. Lovely copy, that. Very, very nice indeed. Yeah, I haven't really needed to go looking online this month for any extra books, because I've had them all come to me. Well, not all come to me, I've had to go and travel for them, but I've not really had a chance to pin off or bullseye in on any particular titles, because, you know, when I get a chance, if I've not picked up much, what I tend to do is pull up one of the lists that I'm collecting and just start typing a few titles in on their own, rather than just like a single title at a time, and see if I can track a few down that way at a decent price. The problem is, these days, because postage has gone up so much, time you have the postage on, even if the book is really cheap, it makes it for a single copy a little bit more than I'd like to pay. Sort of £3 to £5, I guess, nowadays for a vintage paperback is not unreasonable by any means, but at the same time, this is where buying in bulk can really pay dividends, of course, because you can get a lot for less money, so I don't know. But as I said, because I had so much come through my hands this month, I've not needed to go down that route at all, which is fantastic. And there is some stuff that I've got regular saved searches for, and on various websites that should copies come up. Like, I've not had a sniff of any of the 4 penguins that I'm still after to finish my first 1,000 penguins in first edition. Not a sniff, I'm afraid. Let's get a fresh bit of cloth here, I think. Little mark down the bottom there, which I'm not sure if that's going to come off or not. No, not sure what it was, but looks fine now. Okay, right, just one more. We've got one more pile to do. Let's pull the first half down. Here we are. So yeah, this has turned into quite a long video, but there was a lot of vintage. It was as simple as that. We had a lot to clean and tidy. So it is what it is. But that's sometimes how it goes. Other months the pickings can be a bit slim, and I might skip a month and wait so we got 2 months worth, but I think this was worth it. It's one of those ones that was in a bit of a state, this. You know, it was a bit of a dirty cover. It's like it's got a tiny spraying of paint or something like that on the front jacket. Nothing too serious, but just a little bit. So I can't do any better than that, but you can just sort of see around the top sort of corner there, but it's okay. And this one was lovely, but a little bit dusty. We can soon sort that out. Lovely. This is another one that was really, really dusty. So. It's funny, I've got a couple of other tail end Fawcett gold medals, and they actually sort of feel the same. It's like the paper that was being used at the time. It's got a very, very distinctive feel to it. This one was in need of a bit of a delicate clean. There we are. That looks, it's got, because it did have a few little surface marks on, but we've got all of those with our trusty cleaning action. Nice bright green spine on this one. Now, I don't actually have a definitive list of the compact imprints, so if anyone has one, even if it's just the science fiction ones, that would be really useful, in all honesty, because I don't know how many SF ones were released. I've got at least one or two that weren't SF at all. In fact, I think they're borderline sleaze, but they're also published by Compact, so they are what they are. But if anyone has got a list, do please drop me an email. I'd be very keen to take a look. Right, so amazingly that's another 20 minutes up. So what I shall do is pause it once more for the final time, as we're on the home stretch now, and we'll get ready to clean the last sort of dozen or so of these new pickups. It's come up absolutely lovely, actually. Excellent stuff. Right, the last little pile. Really nice, this one. Great cover. This was the one which had that 1 and 9 on, where I'm rubbing now. And it's still there ever so faintly, but we got most of it off, which I'm very, very pleased about. We did well there. Yeah, so thank you if you have stuck with me all this time. Thanks very much for that. It's been a much longer than usual video, but hopefully entertaining. Hopefully you've seen lots of cool paperbacks. I cannot wait to catalogue these and file them away into my collection. I've got some great stuff I'm going to hold back and read as well. Absolutely epic. Very, very pleased with a lot of this stuff. In fact, there's not a single purchase here that I'm disappointed with. I've just got such a really nice cross section of really cool books, so I'm not complaining one little bit. Loads of them as well. It's not every day you get so many that you need for your collection. And a few upgrades as well, so some of them will be making their way into my next sales video. I want to say a special thanks to my Patreon and channel members. I had a couple of new members recently as well, so thank you guys and girls. You will always get early access to any videos of a sales nature, at least a week to 10 days before they get available to the general public. So if you want to get first stab at my doubles, that is the way to do it. And you're also supporting the channel at the same time, and you can become a Patreon or a YouTube channel member from just £1 or $1 a month. So it's not a lot of money, and you can always pay more if you want, but you really don't have to. But it does definitely help out with the running costs and the time devoted to it. It does take a lot of time, but it's my passion, it's my hobby, and if I can make a little bit on the side to warrant all the time that I invest, and that's absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much, Patreon channel members. Now, one of my long-time channel members is at Burt's Emporium. That's another vintage paperback specialist dealer in the States, and I always put there a link to Burt's in the description of all these particular videos down below, so do please go and check them out. They've got a huge selection of stuff, and more being listed on eBay literally all the time, every day. there's like 10 or so books going up, so they've got quite an inventory now, which is worth having a look at. So do please follow the links down below and you'll go straight to Frobert's Emporium, which is a great online resource for vintage paperbacks. Predominantly American, because they are American based, but they ship worldwide. As I said, hopefully next month I'll have a bit more information about the London Paperback and Pulp Fair, which I think could be really cool because it's the first time it's been done in a long time. So we're overdue, and I think it's going to be one of those shows that's going to need a fair bit of support from paperback fans for it to have any more. So if dealers are going to be going along, they're not going to be giving the tables away, so they're going to need to get a bit of a return. So what we want ideally is plenty of dealers and plenty of stock and plenty of people turning up. And I think we could make it quite a fun event by sort of doing a meet-up at the show. So if anyone, because I shall definitely be filming, I'll hopefully be speaking to some of the dealers as well, and hopefully the organizer, and we can I'd like to get as many subscribers from the channel as possible on the video. If you want to come along and tell us what you collect and what your favorite sort of books are, if you've got any good finds at the show, that sort of thing, I think that'd be really interesting. So I'd love to meet more of the people who comment on my videos. It'd be fantastic. So the heads up is there. I shall pop a link to the London Paperback Show's page. They've definitely got a Facebook page. I'm not sure what else they've got, so I'll have a sort of look on my desktop, and if I can see an official website, I shall obviously put a link to that one. Then we can start, or you can start planning, but it's not till July. It's a few months away yet, so hopefully and it's on a Sunday, so hopefully you'll be free and be able to get to London, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'd definitely want to go along. So thank you very much for watching today. I hope it's been informative, entertaining, and you've enjoyed the book eye candy that was on display. Certainly quite a varied mix of stuff, some vintage as well as a fair bit of science fiction, as is always the way. Now, if you have enjoyed today's video, I would appreciate you giving the video a thumbs up. Do please hit the subscribe button. I'm on my way to 25,000. That's my next sort of milestone target. It costs nothing to subscribe at all, but it tells YouTube that you're pleased with my content and that you'd like to see a bit more. You don't have to hit the notification button. I always post Mondays, Wednesdays and Sundays, and on my other channel on the Saturday, so you know when I'm going to be putting up. It's very rare that I miss a video. So yeah, do please hit that subscribe button. Yeah, and I shall look forward to seeing you again next month with my pickups for the month of April, should there be any. So yeah, I shall see you soon. Bye.